So I'm here with Richard. I found you on the floor earlier.
Yeah.
And I thought I recognized you from YouTube. I didn't even know your name before I pulled you over. I looked up on YouTube or whatever. And I'd seen your stuff all the time. Well, not all the time, but I'd seen it on Facebook, YouTube, etc. I think I probably shared it at one point, especially because back in the day when I started, I don't know, trying to figure out what I was doing with my life and motivation. And I liked a lot of your messages.
Sure.
What's your last name, Richard?
William. Well, my government name?
Either or. So what?
I usually go by Prince EA.
Okay, Prince EA.
Yeah, that's what people know me.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Excellent. I pulled you over just because I was interested. I know you're a YouTube influencer. I work on YouTube a lot, helping to spread the vision of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
What brings you here to Blockcon? What do you know about blockchain? What brought you out here?
Yeah, no, good question. For me, I'm interested in, so you've seen my videos. In my videos, I talk about personal growth and development. I talk about freedom. I talk about a lot of revolutionary ideas. And I think this is one of those revolutionary ideas that drew me. I'm no expert in the space yet. I've been in it for maybe 7 months, trying to shake as many hands as I can, trying to get as much information as I can, read as many books as I can, and see how I can utilize that to continue making the world a better place.
I'm a big reader on books. What kind of books? What kind of books have you been reading?
Yeah, lately I've been reading Jesse Livermore, as far as in the trading and crypto world. We're reading a lot of Jesse Livermore, Boyd Plunger. Actually, it's funny, we just heard Jason Calacanis speak. I've already read his angel investing book, reading about Elliott wave analysis, a lot of technical analysis stuff, so I'm understanding market behavior. And it really just interested me, just the whole psychology of it, you know, like market prediction and stuff like that. And so that's kind of what I'm reading now. And I'm in the midst, what am I reading at this moment? Steve Burns, the author of Rich Trader, New Trader, classic trading book. He's got some other books that I'm kind of back and forth reading, yeah.
Did you start out, I love reading books. Did you start out, and a lot of them sound like investment related. What have you read prior? What got you kind of into your...
Oh man, it's a...
Today.
Yeah, so one of my favorite all-time books is called The Tao Te Ching.
Okay.
You familiar with this one?
No, I'm not.
Book of the Way. Some say the wisest book ever written. Lao Tzu. I'm sure you might have seen his Facebook quotes.
Okay.
Stephen Mitchell has a great translation of the book. Another book that I love, the Gitas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Ribu Gita, a lot of ancient texts, because I think this ancient wisdom is timeless. And it's not, for me, it was never about a religion and this and that. It was just about the truth, understanding the nature of reality. What's real? Who am I? Am I just this body? Is this me? Am I Richard? Am I even Prince EA? Or are these just identities? Do these have any real substance to them? The answer is no.
Yeah.
And what I found through reading, which I think is one of the most important things that we can do, is that we are love. And that's the reason why we're here. To understand, to love, to take the lessons, and enjoy the dream and walk each other home.
It's funny, I got interested or started working in the whole having your mind in the right spot. And I love that you use the word truth, actually. I'm big into like meditation and Buddhism.
Yeah.
Certainly didn't start that way. I loved just finding that way. And for me, it came through a great series of struggles. Yeah. And I'll be honest, a lot of people that sort of make it out that work in that environment, usually something pushed them to there. You know, it didn't happen. I don't know how much you're comfortable sharing or not. It looked like you might have came from a similar spot.
You can see it in my face.
What made you?
You see the pain. You see the pain in my eyes, right?
Yeah.
No.
It's a Cryptosomniac. What got you to today?
No, it's a very common path. You know, you actually need this path to come out of it. I always use the example of the lotus flower. The lotus is one of the most beautiful, fragrant flowers on the planet, yet only from the ugly, dirty, stinky mud can this thing emerge. It ain't growing on gold, it ain't growing on marble, it ain't growing in the highlands, only from the mud. So we need these situations to come out of them and show who we truly are. For me, I went through a lot of depression, a lot of suicidal thoughts, me constantly comparing myself to other people, which is the doorway to
one of the worst things.
One of the worst thing you can do is to compare your path to somebody else's. And that's what I did when so I started off in hip hop and music. And I would always look at other artists that were doing better than me, and I would say, why is he on MTV? Why is he on Beats? And I'm not. I'm better than them.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was so miserable, I quit. I wanted to be happy, so I quit. This wasn't making me happy, and I wanted to find out what will make me happy. And so I went on this kind of spiritual journey to try to find out what will make me happy. And when I say spiritual journey, I don't mean I went to the Himalayan mountains and played chess with the Dalai Lama, nothing like that. I really just, some of these books, and I looked within myself and realized that I am exactly where I need to be. I can't be anywhere else. Anywhere else is a fantasy. Life's purpose is to be exactly where you are now. And life is perfect as it is, but I also want to heal it. And until we are comfortable in this paradox, can we really experience spirituality and love for what it really is?
That's beautiful, Richard. How old are you, and when did that kind of start? We didn't put any of this into perspective, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay.
Just turned 29 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Age to me doesn't even mean much. But when did this whole thing, you know, when did you sort of grow out of that? You seem pretty happy now.
It comes and goes.
It is. It's cyclical, you know. You have to just be where you are at.
That's it. Yeah. The more you resist that, the deeper you fall into that quicksand. So happiness comes and goes. You know, happiness, they say, is what happens to you. And if you live your life based on what happens to you, it's a mess. But there's a joy that's present, a peace that's present through happiness, through sadness. To answer your question, I've been making content for about 10 years. Started out in hip hop, made kind of the transition into the space that I'm in now, maybe about 4 years ago. But I always, even when I was doing hip hop, I was always informative, right? I was always lyrical. I always wanted to teach people something. But now I realize I don't really have much to teach. I have just an offering to present. Back then it was more so, I know this, why don't you know this? You should know, you should be more like this. You should know what's happening in our government. What's wrong with you? In this condescending position, but now I simply kind of present this, and whatever happens, I leave up to whatever force is in charge.
That's awesome. What do you kind of do now? So I know you're on YouTube. What did you kind of translate that and segue that into now, where you said, you just offer what you have to give? What do you do now?
This is what I do. This is YouTube. It's just
being you,
creating content for a living. I'm blessed with the ability to do that, to travel where I want to go. I meet a lot of people. One of my favorite quotes comes from Henry Ford. And Henry Ford said that a business devoted to service will have only one worry about profits. They will be embarrassingly large. Once you give your life to service, I feel like freedom and other things come
as a result.
And that's kind of what happened. Once I began to stop making it about me. And even though it still comes, the ego still comes. I'm like, how many views did I get? How many views am I gonna get on this? Oh, nah, it still comes. We watch it, like the young child that the ego is. But yeah, I'm lucky to be able to do it. And now I'm getting into crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin, and all of these things are really interesting me. So I actually traveled to LA just for this event. I'm gonna shoot some videos after, but this is, I always say, follow the energy. Right now, my energy is all in this, so I'm surrendering to that. Yeah.
It's interesting. What would you say? What would you say for anyone that's in a bad position? You know, I have my ideas. Anyone who is in a depressed position?
Yeah.
What do you best recommend for someone to start? Where do they start? Do they, there's a million different things. You could eat better. You could exercise. You could.
Right.
Where does it start for you?
Right.
Where did it sort of begin? What was the best thing you could do? for yourself?
Wow, big question. I think you kind of said it. We are holistic beings, right? We're mind, body, spiritual beings, physical, mental, and spiritual. So each one of these has to be in alignment, right? If you're not eating properly, then the mind won't work properly. So I think we need to get the body in order. We need to get on a certain diet, be outside too. You know, I think that can actually help. It proven to help depression with light and vitamin D. I was telling somebody the other day, I mean, what happens when you put an animal, like a bear in a cage in a zoo? What happens? They start to get anxious. They walk these patterns. They're miserable.
Yeah.
But what happens when you take a human out of his natural environment and put him in an office space for the whole day? Well, these depression levels rise. We start getting anxious and sad. So I think it's important to get outside, to be in nature. And you can't, the thing about depression, you can't think your way out of depression. It's a real thing.
It is.
But thinking that you can't get out of it is a symptom of depression. It changes your thought patterns. So there's a ton of books that, you know, I would recommend. And I think going to it, knowing that there's nothing wrong with you is key, like accepting it.
One of the biggest things that helped me, I thought, was traveling, actually. And there's a bunch of things we talked about. And it was interesting. I went solo backpacking for about a year, and I just was me by myself, you know. And if I, you know, do I want to sit in bed? Do I want to do this? It kind of just was all on my own. And it was really interesting to see. I think the coolest part for me was I found a lot of people just like me. I thought I was alone. I thought there was no one else going through what I had to go through while still maintaining this lifestyle. You know, I always thought that, I don't know, there wasn't people holding real jobs that were depressed. They always, you know, looked, you saw what you saw on the outside, you went to work, and I, you know, I was just like, yeah, that guy's able to do it, he looks fine. And then I met so many people that told me these companies they had started, or real legitimate jobs they had, or just, you know, were real people in the world going through the same issues I had. And I was like, man, you're like doing a lot better than me.
That's it. That's
Maybe I just need to surrender to it and let it happen. I don't know, that was one of the biggest things.
It's beautiful.
I think that helped me. Where can people find you? You mentioned, what's the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, just type in Prince EA.
Prince EA.
Google it.
A lot of people. I think it's really important for a lot of people. I think, like me, Cryptosomniac, people staring in front of computers all day. I think there's a need for good mindset in any industry, and even this one. There's a lot of people, just looking at the event today, I think there's a lot of people just really focused, really geeky, nerdy, but smart. Smart, great people. But we need to be conscious, I think, of our bodies and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Your videos definitely were a source of inspiration for me, and there's obviously a ton of great information. So I'm glad to have this opportunity to speak with you.
Yeah, me too. No, this was one of the best times in my event, actually, so far, like being here with you. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, well, again, Prince EA on YouTube. Thank you, Richard. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.